series' twists and turns expanded the entirety of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, allowing Disney to continue growing its $8.7 billion box office darling.
This is In the Loop. I'm Christian Bryant. You been doing any binge watching lately? You know, you're always free to fire up the old Newsy streaming app and then watch episodes of this show. It's a fun exercise in seeing just how often I repeat wearing the same shirts over and over and over again. If you have found yourself swimming through the deep ocean of streaming content these days, you're not alone. These are basically boom times for streaming platforms, not just for your classic services like Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon Prime, but also for heavyweight newcomers like Disney Plus, Peacock, and Apple, which has brought on some big names by spending unreal amounts of money.
Honestly, Bradley, a friendship with you seems like a bountiful journey.
Across today's streaming TV landscape, all these folks are locked in an epic battle for your eyeballs, which sounds weirder than it needs to. And it really matters, both for the viewers and for the industry, because you've basically got all the big name entertainment brands betting the farm on these platforms with no guarantee of success. However it turns out, it'll shape the future of TV entertainment. It's a high stakes, big budget industry game that'll definitely have its winners and its losers. So here's what the scoreboard looks like so far, according to paired analytics measure of viewer demand. The original titans of streaming, like Hulu and Netflix, are still on top, while newly consolidated corporate entertainment powerhouses like HBO Max, Paramount Plus, and others are expanding their own slice of the pie. And what makes these streaming wars so interesting is this question of what kind of streaming TV wins out. For Netflix, it's billions of dollars on original programming to try and keep viewers from basically ever leaving their app, even if it means offering you the stupidest dating show you've ever seen.
Could you fall in love with someone based on personality alone?
What is your ideal woman?
Personality, for me, is everything.
The costumes were great, still stupid. For Peacock, it's relying on Office reruns to make up for the fact that viewership numbers from the summer games have been absolutely tanking.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
And for Disney Plus, it's a Star Wars and superhero intellectual property bonanza.
This is absurd.
In both TV and movies, the big entertainment brands have been leaning more and more heavily on intellectual property, or IP, lately. Spinning big name movie franchises into TV shows to win you over for more hours of streaming. Spinning off Star Wars TV shows, I understand. But this is also how we got multiple seasons of Fargo, and even a show based off One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Not the kind of IP that sells action figures. For more on how this IP frenzy is redefining movies and TV, we turn to Newsy's Casey Mendoza.
Best burgers I've ever had. In my universe, this place closed 6 years ago.
And we'll be Universe 1.
I'm sorry, you're saying there's a multiverse?
Comic book fans and sci-fi nerds have always known the concept of the multiverse, the idea of infinite timelines and alternate universes. That's why we could have 4 theatrical Spider-Man reboots in the past 2 decades, and how Hollywood can consolidate brands, grow franchises, and keep making money indefinitely.
Variant identified.
I beg your pardon?
Marvel Studios' Loki premiered earlier this summer on Disney+, centering on the god of mischief's adventures through time and space. Only 6 episodes long, the series' twists and turns expanded the entirety of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, allowing Disney to continue growing its $8.7 billion box office darling.
Slow down a little bit. There's a few people in the room that don't understand.
The expansion into the multiverse is exciting, you know, in the same way that it was exciting when the Marvel movies went to space, you know, with Asgard and the first Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy and everything.
Loki creator and head writer Michael Waldron knows his way around the multiverse. Before Marvel, he worked as a writer on the hit sci-fi animated series Rick and Morty.
Hold your fire! I'm Morty C-137!
Rick and Morty does a great job of introducing maybe fairly complex sci-fi concepts and getting them across the audience and then hopefully always shifting them to the background. Because what's important is the emotional story.
You're telling me that thing's a Loki too?
Oh, yes.
And I think that's the key, that just no matter how far out you expand, you remember that what's important is just holding on to that humanity.
The first season of Loki was praised by critics and fans, and it quickly became one of the most in-demand titles on streaming. That critical success is important, because Loki also functions as the bridge to the rest of the franchise. It's the series that establishes the new multiverse rules and entices viewers to stick around for the long haul.
3, 2.
What are you guys doing?
Competing with Marvel's multiverse strategy is its longtime adversary, DC, which just released The Suicide Squad, based on villains from the Justice League.
Every universe is different.
Marvel's What If is next on the studio's docket. Premiering Wednesday, the series continues the multiverse narrative and flexes Disney's unrivaled ability to build upon years of existing stories, characters, and now a near infinite amount of superhero universes. Have fun keeping it all straight. Casey Mendoza, Newsy, Chicago.
So in the spirit of keeping up with all these multiverses and really just showing you how far the biggest entertainment brands are willing to dig into their intellectual property, we're going to break down a handful of the most random, obscure characters Disney and company have brought to your TV screen lately. There are only 2 people at this company who I'd like to talk nerd culture with, and one of them is with us on ITL today. Newsy's Casey Mendoza. Casey, are you down to play a game of Explain This? We haven't done this in a while.
CB, I am contractually obligated to say yes.
Well, thank you. It's glad to know that you are following through with your contractual obligations. This is one of the only places where I would actually like to talk about variants. And since we were talking about the multiverses and all of that, we're going to start off with a very on-theme bit of Explain This. Here's the first image. Casey, who the hell is this?
So that is Peter Porker, aka Spider-Ham, who made his modern debut in the 2018 film Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. A lot of fans were very surprised when they learned, when this character debuted in 2018, that there actually was a Peter Porker in the 80s published by Marvel. He's from alternate universe Earth 8311, which is an actual universe that Marvel created to make parody animal versions of their characters.
This is amazing. I remember seeing this one in Into the Spider-Verse, and I'm glad that you brought back Peter Porker. This is already taking a weird turn. Here's one you might be familiar with. Here's the second image. Casey, can you explain this? What am I looking at here?
So this is Alligator Loki, who made his debut basically this year for Disney Plus's original series, Loki.
I need your unique Loki perspective.
The character didn't have like a canon past in Marvel. He was fully created by Michael Waldron, really just for fun, but also to poke fun at, you know, the idea of alternate versions of these superheroes or parody versions of them.
I did hear that Michael Waldron had some other variants, some other animal variants kicking around before he did the show. And so I'm curious to know how we got to Alligator Loki of all animals, but you know, it was a joy to see this one on screen.
He's definitely a fan favorite, and I believe Michael Waldron was like, I picked him because he's green, which, you know, is a great reason to create a character.
Folks in charge when you're just kind of like, let's go for it. All right, here's the third one. Casey, can you explain who this is?
Okay. This one's actually stumping me, but is that Thor as a frog?
In a way, yeah, this is Thor as a frog. I don't know. Did I just stump you? Did I actually just stump you right now?
I think this is the first time I've been stumped on Explain This, and it was Thor as a frog.
Here's some of the history here. There was a human named Simon Walterson, who was then turned into a frog. Nothing weird there. And then there was a sliver of Mjolnir that was left behind. The frog picked up the sliver and it became Frognir, and the frog then became Throg, Frog of Thunder. How about that?
I love when superheroes get turned into animals, but man, that one, that's new to me. Thank you for enlightening me.
You know, we're bringing all sorts of value to this show. Casey Mendoza, thank you so much for playing a little bit of Explain This with me, and we hope to have you back soon.
Bye.
When you're back, we're pivoting to wildfires and how they can have lasting effects on our climate.
Newsy cuts through